And we're back.
And we're back. Hey, everybody.
Welcome to I Don't Know What That Means. I'm Jen,
And I'm Graeme.
and we're talking about holidays and how we're done with them.
A very special holiday edition.
Yes, because we'll be posting this after New Year's.
Put some jingle bells in the background or something.
I was thinking more like, I don't know, what's like funeral music? Bury it.
Yeah.
I will be sad to take down the decorations. I think they're fun.
Yeah. That's one of the... I have a complicated relationship with the holidays, as I think probably almost everyone does.
I think anyone who's an adult, because, I don't know, you're going to have just life happen, and then all of a sudden, it's not all just fun and fucking games, and you're not going to school.
Right. Yeah, I wonder how much of, love of the holidays is just that people, remember being 7 and you get, 3 weeks off of school or whatever, and there's, a thing in the middle where you get a bunch of presents and,
I don't know. Let's start at the beginning, because the first one that we all start getting stressed out about is Thanksgiving.
Indeed. And I think I feel like there's kind of a through line with the holidays where they're largely similar or they're largely difficult for kind of the same reasons. I think that Thanksgiving is tough for largely the same reasons that Christmas is tough.
I think they have things in common, but I think they each get their own unique jibe.
Sure. So what about you? What's your Thanksgiving vibe?
Thanksgiving, I've been doing a joke about this actually. It's 100% less stressful now that both of my parents are dead.
Sure.
I have no expectation to make a gigantic meal of food that I don't really care for. We don't have to truck back and forth to different families' things, which I'm not gonna say I'm glad my folks are gone, but it does alleviate some of that obligation pressure. This is the first year that my brother hasn't come over and we haven't gotten together for Thanksgiving or Christmas, which is a little bit of a bummer just because I like hanging out with my brother. But we got together after Thanksgiving and we just saw him yesterday for after Christmas, and that's fine because I think, I don't know, at some point it's nice to just not have to do anything. I made nachos for Thanksgiving dinner, for myself, because you didn't want it, and so it was just fun to watch the fucking dog show and drink Bloody Marys and just chill.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the things that is the hardest about the holidays is that obligation, is the notion that you're going to, you're going to hang out with your family who, that might be a source of tension. There might be family members that you never see that you don't want to, but you have to. It stresses me out by proxy to see people talking about how oh, I'm going to be hanging out with my family and my MAGA chud uncle or whatever. It stresses me out so much because I'm on the one hand, I want to be it's just a little while and you can make it and then you don't have to see them again for a year later. But on the other hand, I'm are you over 18? Just don't go. I have a weird relationship to the concept of family anyway. My basic bottom line is the fact that we're related by blood doesn't actually mean anything. That doesn't make you special or deserving of any kind of extra credit or anything. If I see you once a year, you're a stranger, regardless of the fact that you're my dad's brother or whatever you might be.
I would see that and raise it. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And like you said, that's easier said than done when you're trying to keep peace in the family and everything.
Right, and I get it, and so there's that sense of obligation, and that's always hard for me just in general, especially when I had no say in it, feeling obligated to do something because somebody else told me that I have to do it, and it's not even my boss, who could conceivably fire me, who can force me to do something, you know what I mean? This is just my mom, and if I'm nah, mom, Uncle Joe's going to be a dick and I'm not going to, it's him or me, then I look like the asshole, which sucks.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's like that for a lot of people. I was always very fortunate to have a pretty small family. Thanksgiving was my sister and my parents and my grandmother, and that was it. Just the 5 of us. I have one uncle who I have seen maybe 7 or 8 times in my life.
Oh wow.
No one in the family was a shithead, and I was never like, oh God, I dread going to grandma's because she's going to be racist or, because whatever. Like everybody was basically fine, and I understand that colors my notion of what family is like because I've never had like a huge family and all that kind of like pressure and everything that you see with people who have much more like, celebrate family types of, relations and things.
We've had what, one Thanksgiving technically? No, this is our second one here living together, right?
Yes. Yeah. 03 or 23 and 24.
So I guess I'm curious, is there anything you would want to change for the next one to make it better? Or did you like just sitting on the couch and chilling?
No, it was nice. I don't think there's much to change about it, I mean, it's like I already get the best part of a holiday. I don't have to be at work. So everything else is gravy. But I like to hang out with you. So there it is. That's the whole holiday.
Okay, cool. I'll hopefully be here and hang out with you the next one.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. It's nice to see your brother, obviously, but if he's got shit to do or whatever.
I can watch football.
Right. Friendsgiving. That's always something that like feels on the surface like it would be cool. I've never done that.
You've never gone and eaten food you didn't know what was going to be served with people you don't know very well? I'm so shocked.
No. I've never had like a specifically Thanksgiving thing with like just my chosen family, like friends.
Okay.
So that seems like it might be nice, but I don't know. I don't have enough people to do it.
Okay. Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
Graeme and Jenn.
And we talked about a lot of, one of the reasons that I was a little bit reticent to do this one is I was like, a lot of my problems with the holidays, we kind of already covered in like the birthday one. Because a lot of my issues with holidays are like, I don't like parties and I don't like gift giving or gift receiving, honestly, or like, that kind of thing. So I was like, but yeah, that sense of obligation and like Thanksgiving is super hard. Any kind of like food centric thing is like a nightmare. I remember going to, I guess I shouldn't say I've never done a Friendsgiving, but it wasn't like my friends. I remember like going with my parents to their friends' houses or whatever. And it's just exactly like you said, it's a bunch of people I don't know. And especially when I was a kid, it's like a bunch of adults I don't know.
Which is the worst when you're a kid.
Yeah. And then like a bunch of food that I don't know if it's going to be safe for me to eat.
Like psychologically safe, not like poisoned safe.
I mean, yeah.
For the listeners.
Right. I believe that we have discussed ARFID before, but avoidant restrictive food intake disorder is a thing that is common amongst neurodivergent folks, autistic people in particular. And we've talked about like safe foods and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I go like I wouldn't even consider a majority of the food in my own house as like safe for me.
Sorry about it.
No, it's fine. I'm just saying like most of the food that we already have here is not like part of my safe food list. You know what I mean? So to go to someone else's house and there's a lot of like kind of issues around that. I mean, I have a hard time eating things that other people have made for some reason. Like I don't know what ingredients they used or how they put it together or whatever.
Well, that's kind of interesting because like, so let's move on to Christmas. This year on Christmas Eve, we got kind of a last minute invitation to a party and you surprised me very much by coming, first of all, but it was like a potluck thing. And like, we just took like some sugar cookies and beer because we're basic like that.
Sure.
But did it, like if we hadn't been snacking all day and it hadn't been a last minute invitation, do you think if we had gone and like actually had dinner, it would have helped that like you could see stuff like being made? And like I feel like we knew people well enough, we could have just been like, hey, what the fuck is in this? And it would have been fine. Or like would that still be like equally as challenging?
Knowing the people doesn't make a difference, I don't think. I think it makes it a little easier in the very specific scenario where like someone knows me and understands my like food issues and like has cooked with an eye towards that. It might be a little easier. That one is tough because there was never a chance I was going to eat anybody else's food, asterisk, because I'm already in an environment where I'm like pretty uncomfortable. I didn't know anyone there except for you and Evan initially to start. So I'm in an unfamiliar scenario. I don't know any of these people except for like you and Evan. And even Evan, like I know the members of Jen's sketch group. and her sort of colleagues, whatever. I know them first of all through you, not directly like myself,
Right.
and also in the context of like your work together.
Yeah, it is like going to a work party.
And so like I'm basically here with a bunch of strangers and then some of Jen's coworkers and Jen. And so when you first got the invite, I was like, absolutely not. No fucking way am I going. You asked if I wanted to join and I was like, no. But I don't know. Sometimes I like to try to make an effort, I guess. And also I hadn't left the house in a week. So it was like, I can feel weird and be alone in my own house, or I can feel weird and feel alone in a room full of, like I'm going to feel weird either way. Yeah, no.
Do you have a terrible time though?
No, not at all. And that was the nice thing, is that it was nice. And I think the fact that like, it was very easy to just like hide in a corner the whole time, that worked out.
Okay, so like that's gonna make people think you went and sat in a corner and didn't talk to anybody, which is not what happened. Like we had beers and we chatted with like my sketch group members, and you even talked to people that I introduced you to for the first time. So like I would say I felt like not guilty for inviting you after the fact.
No, it's fine. And it definitely wasn't a bad time. I think like that's one of those things where, we talked a little bit extensively on the Meltdowns episode, where like, I don't know that something is too much until it's already too much. I have no way to like predict things being a problem. And I'm like, I don't know how much longer we could have stayed. And I would have been like, this is fine. But I think that sometimes I try to let the ADHD win a little bit because, it is desperate for novelty. And for someone who works from home and has no hobbies and like has an extremely small life in the grand scheme of things, like, I think that was kind of part of that decision. Was I was like, I don't want to go to this. It's going to be a bunch of strangers. It's going to be a bunch of food. Like it's food centric, which is hugely stressful for me to start with. And like, that's going to be a whole thing and blah, 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 blah. But then like the ADHD corner of my brain lights up and goes, yeah, but it's not here. It's not the same 4 rooms that I look at 99% of my, of my life. So maybe that'll be okay. But yeah, no. And kind of getting back to the food thing, like there was never a chance that I was going to eat any food that was like not some variation of anything that's on my like safe foods list. Right. So, if someone was like, here's crackers, I'd be like, I don't know what they are, but like, it's a cracker. That's probably fine. Evan was like, here's matzo ball soup. And I was like, fucking no. Absolutely not. Like, I'm sure it's
okay. By the way, it is legend now.
I'm sure it's great. I mean, I have no doubt. But it's like, this was prepared by somebody I don't know very well, and I don't even know what's in it. And like,
I love how you say like you don't know him very well. Like he pet sat for us while we were on vacation the last time and kept our dogs alive. He's like slept in our bed. Like we know him.
No, not at all. You know him because you've spent a great deal of time around him. I don't know him very well. The fact that he has been in my house doesn't translate to like knowing, you know what I mean? Like, you say like, he dog sat for us and everything. And I'm like, okay, I know from that he is responsible enough to keep my dogs alive and that he didn't burn the house down. You know what I mean? Like I know basic things about him, but like, I don't know him very well. He and I have had, I think 3 or maybe 4 conversations that were not related to you. Like you weren't a part of, like where we were just talking to one another. And it was always about, some specific thing at hand. I remember he and I talked for like 10 minutes when you wrapped the pilot. We met everybody downtown or whatever. And at some point, like you guys were outside smoking, or I don't know, everybody else was gone for whatever reason. And it was just he and I, and we talked for like 10 minutes and it was nice, but it was entirely about like the pilot, it was entirely about like the work. So that's what I mean when I say I don't know him very well. Not a judgment or anything. I don't know him very, but yeah. So all of that. But then the other thing is like, when I talk about safe foods and about RFID and things like that, like I always have to underline, like, it's not rational. It's not a thing that makes sense, right?
I feel like I get that now, and that's part of like I don't even really talk to you about it anymore because it's like I know I'm not gonna like convince you otherwise in those situations. I mean, like last night we went out for dinner and I had something and I was like, I think you will like this, and it's only based on like what I have seen you eat and I like know you like and I know your safe food. So like in that situation, I'm like pretty confident to be like, try this. But I'm not like all the time like, just get a plate and try new things. And like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but eat it. Like I would never say that.
Part of that is demand avoidance too. Like as soon as you are like, you should try this or whatever, my brain's like, well, no, I can't. Even if I wanted to, I can't. I had a coworker who only saw him a couple of times a week, and every time I saw him, he was always like, hey, did you check out this, like some YouTube channel that he loved and was like, you would really like it. It's like, right up your alley, whatever. And I'm like, I believe you, but I can't. There's a part of my brain that as soon as you recommend something to me, it registers as like a demand or a command or something, and my brain is like, nope, not doing it. So, and then he was always like, hey, did you check out that guy? And I was like, every time you ask me that, it makes it less likely that I will, because like,
Yeah.
so like there's a difference between asking me, do you want to try this? It's XYZ, and saying, I think you would like this, you should try it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
not really, but like,
so
whatever, man.
No, but when you say, I think you would like this, you should try it, all I hear is the like, you should, which feels to me like you're telling me I have to. Whereas if you say, this is X, Y, and Z, and now I know what it is, and then you go, do you think you want to try it? Then like, it's kind of up to me, at which point I feel like I have agency in the decision.
Oh my God.
So there is a significant difference between, do you want to try this and you should try this. I don't think that's just me being neurotic. I think that's...
Are you sure?
I am being neurotic, but I'm pretty sure that some of the listeners probably can empathize.
I'm sure they can, and I'm sure their partners are like, Jesus fucking Christ, I just want to have dinner.
Right. But yeah, so the funny thing about that is that like I will drink any beer you put in front of me. I will probably eat any kind of like candy.
Oh, I know. You got into the fucking desserts like nobody's business.
Yeah. I don't really know. And like I said, it's not a logical thing. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to make is that, like if you are like, here is a bowl of cheddar cheese goldfish, then I'm going to house it. If you are like, here is a piece of cheddar cheese, not for me. Can't do it.
Which is insane. Cheese is magic.
That's exactly my point, is that like, it's not a rational thing. It doesn't like follow any logical kind of rules. And I'm sure that if I like sit down and figure out like exactly what like the ontological differences between the two are, I'm sure I can be like, oh, well, this, whatever. But with cheese, it's largely a texture thing. I don't like the way it feels. But yeah, so that's kind of what I mean, is that like our fit and that kind of thing is not logical. It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, if we go to like a food kind of thing, because you've commented on it before, you've been like, you'll drink any beer in the world, like sight unseen and unheard of, but like you won't, have a sandwich or whatever. And I'm like, yes. And also, believe me when I say no one's more frustrated about that than I am.
I mean, I feel like I'm a close second.
So, yeah.
But anyways, after the party, we did drive around and look at Christmas lights, and that was really fun. I feel like that's like our tradition kind of thing. Like we did that before we even moved in together. And so like that's something I look forward to. And now I think Christmas carols are kind of hilarious and songs because you like to listen to them and comment on the artist.
Sometimes Brian Wilson writes a lyric, and
so yeah, I like that. And then
yeah, so absolutely, Christmas carols and things, and that really has been kind of a cute little like tradition that that we have had for a long time. But getting back to what you're saying at the beginning, the decorations, that's arguably my favorite part of the whole thing.
Yeah, you love lights and shit.
I do. I love lights. I'm not such a fan of inflatables. I think that inflatable decorations are kind of the same thing as like McMansions. They're very like cookie cutter, generic white people shit, and it's like the lowest possible amount of effort to still be able to be like, we decorated.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your jam and you're doing your best, like, good for you. But like, honestly,
the one thing that I guess I will give inflatables is that sometimes you will see someone who has gone so fucking hard on inflatables that it like kind of comes around, and it's like
their yard looks like a bouncy castle.
Right. I'm like, I don't care for these, but you have so many of them that like I respect the endeavor that this, that this is. Like you actually did put some effort into it because you've got 400 of these things on your lawn.
That being said, I do have a Halloween inflatable that I really like, and it's a unicorn skeleton with like rainbow hair. It's fucking adorable. It was a gift. And like it is just kind of weird, so like I'll let that one fly.
Sure. Yeah, and no offense intended, I guess, to anyone who does, primarily use inflatables or really likes them, whatever. It's, I'm sure that there are things about decorations that I like that a lot of other people don't. So
Are you like the tree? I think a lot. We had to go find a tree that barely fits in our fucking house last year.
that was a miscalculation on my part.
You were so optimistic, like this will definitely fit. And to be fair, like it
does.
Fits.
Yeah, and when we say just, I mean like
the top is kissing the ceiling, just a little.
So a lot of artificial trees usually have that like kind of spire at the very top that you're supposed to stick a star or whatever angel kind of thing on, and ours
It's called a tree topper, Graham.
Well, it's just part of the tree.
No, the thing you put on it.
Oh yeah, sure. So they've got that like kind of extra long piece that like sticks straight up, and ours does not. It's actually bent over because that's how tall the tree is.
Yeah, the tree doesn't need that shit.
It is like an inch and a half from the ceiling because I misjudged the height of our ceiling.
It is not even that far, but it is cute. We had to go all over looking for one that was flocked because I wanted that. And then Graham wanted the multicolored lights. And wow, what an exclusive combination.
Yeah, that was a thing. See, I thought that I was the one who insisted on the flocking because I really like that. Well, it's nice to know that.
I liked that. And so I was like, yes, I would like a flocked tree. But you were like adamant that it had to have not just the white lights.
Well, yeah, I wanted the option. It wasn't necessarily that like it had to be multicolored. Just because I
mean, it did because you wouldn't buy any other one.
Well, right. I didn't want because I didn't want them to be like just white lights. Sometimes I like a white light. Sometimes I like a multicolored light.
This year it's been on multicolored light all year.
Right. And at this point, I'm just like, maybe we can probably leave it. I mean, we got a tree that has like modes, it's got like 9 different modes or something.
It's got rave mode. That's my favorite.
Only 2 of them are even usable. The 2 that are usable are constant on white lights and constant on multicolored, and everything else is garbage.
The soft, it's not a twinkle, but it like just does a small color shift gradually.
It's like a pulse. Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, honestly, like most of those modes should be illegal. Like they're going to give somebody a fucking seizure.
Yeah, one of the modes switches back and forth between full multicolor and full white lights, but it's like flipping a switch. It's like hard. There's no change between it, and it's just like boom, it's white, boom, it's colored, boom, it's white, and it's jarring, and I don't like it. But that, and then what Jen calls rave mode, which is where the lights they stay in the same paradigm. They're either like the multicolored ones or the white ones, but they just blink on and off at like 1 second intervals.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But no, there is that kind of like blend mode where it like slowly fades from white to multicolored and back. That one is kind of nice.
So yeah, decorations, the tree.
Yeah, the tree really was a whole last thing.
And then this year we tried, I was like painting while I watched most of them, but we watched some Hallmark movies. You guys, what the fuck? That is like, I've been calling it trad wife propaganda. Like it's trying to make women quit their jobs and stay home.
I mean, the plot of every single one of them is like, high-powered career woman goes home to her small town and meets some bumbling idiot of a man and somehow, for some reason, decides to throw over her entire life and career because this dude has dimples or whatever.
So bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Also, what were you telling me? Lacey Chabert has like 47 of these or something?
I saw a clip of her on Jimmy Fallon, and she was saying she had just wrapped on her 41st. And I don't even know if that's from this year.
Yeah.
Which, like, good for her, get that coin purse, but wow.
Yeah.
I think it's just an absolute misuse of her talents. She's actually, like, a pretty funny actress. She could, like, be in a real rom-com.
Yeah. She was, wasn't she?
I don't fucking know.
I think. I don't know.
I guess technically those are, but, like,
sure.
I think they're honestly kind of horror shows, but whatever.
There's a thing that I have noticed over the last couple of years that I had never really seen up until comparatively recently. And it's every time I go to like almost any actor's IMDb page to like look at their filmography and figure out where like what I know them from, inevitably over the last, I'm going to say 10 years, they all have like 3 or 4 of these hyper-specific Hallmark-ass Christmas movies. It's bizarre. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's a market for it. You were the one who told me very recently that they're There is a whole Hallmark channel. There's like a whole streaming app or whatever.
I think it's so funny that you didn't know that there's a Hallmark channel.
I think that I've heard references to it and assumed it was a joke. Because it sounds like a joke. It sounds like a thing that wouldn't exist in a universe powered by a loving God.
Well,
so
we live on this timeline.
Right.
So
instead, we live in hell. Yeah, no, that's such a fucking weird thing. But like,
yeah,
Christmas movies they're different than I think they were when we were younger.
Are they?
I feel like they are, because when I think about Christmas movies from when we were a kid, I don't remember there being a lot of like this kind of like schlocky rom-com stuff. I feel like they were usually a little bit more, I don't know, variations on Scrooge. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of, it was either that or it was like an animated, like a stop motion animated thing from the 60s.
I don't know if that's all there was or if that's just what I like, but like I'm agreeing with you that is what I remember.
Yeah.
Like watching those like Bass and Ranker, what do you call
Rankin
it?
Bass.
Rankin Bass.
Yep.
Like those are great. Also, that's why I really like Elf. I think like it has strong love letter to that. Like just we should go back to it all just being comedies and horror films for Christmas.
There is a strong tradition of Christmas horror films.
Yeah, and like that part I like the Krampus like revival going on. Like that's fun.
My God. We did, it was, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 years ago, we sat down and we decided we were going to watch every Krampus movie we could find.
Yeah, we fucked that up.
We got through, I'm going to say like maybe 6 of them. And then, yeah, there's so many more. I want to say that we got through like probably 2/3 of what was available at the time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can't anymore.
Well, because honestly, there's like a couple of really good ones, but the bad ones are so bad.
The bad ones are really, very bad. Krampus 2015 with, what's his name? Adam Scott and
Toni Collette.
Yeah. That one's really good.
That one's a banger.
Rare Imports is not really a Krampus movie, but it's like adjacent in the sense that they're like evil claws.
Yeah.
Like anti-claws things.
I would say that's the second best one.
But yeah, I really like that one. And then there's a bunch of other, and then it's just like
it kind of goes downhill.
Yeah. From there. I want to say there was one where I was like, I'm not demanding my money back, but like my life isn't any better than it was 90 minutes ago. You know what I mean? Like this was fine, I guess.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple where I remember we turned them off like 10, 15 minutes in and we're just like, this is, and I don't know how much of that was just like Krampus movie overload and how much of it was just they were garbage.
Based on what I have seen you watch when I'm not in the room, they were really bad.
Probably, yeah.
Because you have a high tolerance for that, like, explosion for boys movies.
Well, but I think that once I get about 10 or maybe 15 minutes into a movie, I feel like I'm like committed to it. And at that point, I'm just like, I'm going to finish this.
I will fucking turn a movie off. I don't give a shit. I'll quit reading a book. Like, life is short.
Yeah. Yeah, that's agreed. But yeah, the Krampus movie marathon.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. And then, of course, there was the day that I practically tied Jen to the couch and we did a watch of what I consider the only true Christmas trilogy: Black Christmas 1979, Black Christmas 2006, Black Christmas 2019. In that order, back to back to back.
Yeah, it was a lot of women getting murdered.
It is not great. I will say that the original, the 79 one with Olivia Hussey, who just died yesterday, may she
R.I.P. Yeah.
The original is actually pretty good.
It's solid, but like it's a lot. And so like watching 2 more films where women are just getting slaughtered after that is just like,
says a woman who has listened to every true crime podcast there is.
Yeah, well, part of it is like real life is kind of like that. So like this being like a fun holiday treat is kind of laughable.
But yeah, the 06 one, as I recall, is not worth anyone's time. And then the 2019 one is like it's not really a reboot. It's like,
I mean, it's not.
Well, it's kind of a sequel to the original, I think. I want to say one of those characters is like descended from, I think that they make it explicit that it's like her mother's.
That doesn't make it not the same goddamn movie.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. And there is some kind of a through line there, which is, I was like, why would you establish a connection to the first movie and then just remake it? Like, you should do one or the other.
Yeah, talk to Sam Raimi about that.
But yeah, so we did that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you said, it was mostly like kind of weird schlocky cartoons, or it was like horror movies.
Yeah. That being said, there's the small handful that like we do watch every year. Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Scrooged is good. The movie came out when I was 7, and I think I saw it once it came out in video the next year or whatever.
As one does.
And I remember being absolutely terrified by the Ghost of Christmas Future.
I remember you telling me that, and I don't know where I was, but I wasn't at home, and somebody posted a tree that they decorated like that. Like it had a cape, and then it had like little pictures of the people, and I was like, fuck, this is incredible. And I don't know, I must have been like actively doing something and waiting, and I just got distracted. I'll have to find it. It's pretty fucking cool.
That is good. Yeah, Christmas movies. Even the schlocky standbys like Love Actually.
I just like watching that and talking shit at this point.
Yeah.
And my opinion about a lot of the things I like to just post on Threads as we're watching it because I can't keep it to myself.
Yeah, I used to, a non-zero part of my Twitter feed was me like just like live tweeting
yeah,
some garbage movie I was watching. I did a Beastmaster marathon, like all 5 of them one day. And man,
one day.
Yeah, I mean, I think 2 of them are like a minute, like an hour 10. Like they're not long movies.
All right, you put in a full day at the office.
Yeah, I might actually have been at the office at that point. I don't know.
So those were like the new things that we did this year. I guess we went to a party. We watched the shitty Hallmark movies, and I don't know. We did the regular stuff. We did gifts. Graeme got me cool gifts. I was pretty fucking excited. I got Care Bear Crocs, and they light up, you guys.
They are truly something.
Yeah.
There was no way that she wasn't getting those because they dropped them like back in the summer, I want to say. They first announced them or whatever, and I don't know if we had like come back from like pub crawling or something, but I remember we're sitting on the couch watching TV, and we're both like hammered, and she turns to me and shoves her phone 1 inch from my nose with these things, and she's like, "Look at these," and I was like, "Wow, yeah, those are dope.
They're incredible."
And then she just like kind of stared at me for like 3 or 4 seconds. And then she went, "I wear a 6." And then turned back to whatever she was doing. And I was like, okay, well, that's a Christmas present sorted. Thank you for that.
I don't know what your damage is when it comes to gift giving, but you think I'm hard to shop for. And it's impossible to drop a hint to an autistic person. Oh, you know what? You don't get what you don't ask for.
I have floated the idea of we do like a moratorium on buying things for ourselves starting like November 1st or something. And like whenever you see something that you're like, I'm going to get that for myself, just like put a link in a document somewhere, and then we can just go through and, and that sort of thing. But yeah, I do. We've talked a little bit about how difficult I find gift giving holidays, particularly the one-sided ones like someone's birthday, like sort of reciprocal gift giving holidays like Christmas. Those are hard for a different set of reasons. But yeah, I mean, I have trouble with gifts in general.
You say that, but I think you're actually a really good gift giver. I mean, I guess it's not like the same statement to say it stresses you out and to say you're good at giving gifts. So,
right. Yeah. No. I mean, if I had $1 for every time I've had to say to someone like, "You do have gifts, they're coming, but I have ADHD, so they got ordered this morning," or whatever. Like that's definitely. I have on more than one occasion given someone a picture of the item that they were going to get, and been like, "This is on its way." So,
I do think that's one step better than just saying like, "It's not here yet."
Right. No, one of the things that makes it hard for me is like, because gift-centric things happen infrequently, I don't have like a lot of practice at the process, and so
we have been together for how many years?
Right. I mean, it's, it'll be 5 years in March. So we've had 4 Christmases and 4 your birthdays. So I have the benefit of your birthday being almost exactly 6 months from Christmas. If you were born in like February or whatever, it'd be like, I just finished stressing out about Christmas presents. Now I have to stress about your birthday.
That's how spring feels every year for me. Like you, my brother, so many people just like boom, 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 boom.
People be fucking in August.
Just always. I say it like it's not an all year problem. It's a fucking problem.
But yeah, no, gifts are a hard thing. Like, again, partly because it's an obligation, like not that I don't like to get you presents, but like I have to get you presents,
Yeah, you do.
Well, you'd be really disappointed if I was like, I refuse to participate in this like arbitrary consumerist horse shit.
We don't have to buy something.
Okay, so my parents were the kinds of people who would always give like pretty thoughtful gifts and presents and stuff. And so I think that I have kind of this expectation that like a gift is like supposed to be something that's like not necessarily meaningful, but you know what I mean? Like isn't just like some, I don't know. I think that if I had grown up frequently getting gifts that were just like, I put this in a box because it's Christmas, like
Nobody wants that.
right. But if that's what I kind of thought a gift was, you know what I mean? You asked me at one point how we did Christmas, how we did like opening of presents, whether it was like everybody goes like one at a time or we all just kind of like free for all and whatever. And most of the time we did like a 1-by-1 thing. So that's actually part of why receiving gifts is stressful for me, because I remember like sitting in a room having like 5 people staring at me while I was opening it.
We're so different. Like, I fucking love that. I'm like, yes, time to shine, motherfuckers.
I don't want to be perceived when I'm doing something where like being perceived is the point. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, that's why we can't have video for the podcast.
I went to music school and we had like required performances and everything. And of course I had a bunch of performances just anyway, but I was always like, I'm just gonna turn around. Like I'm gonna start wearing like a shirt with something fun on the back and I'm just gonna turn. I don't want to look at the room full of people. I don't want a room full of people looking at me. Can I play in the wings? Can I do that? So, when I'm doing something where being perceived is part of the point, I don't like to be perceived, much less when I'm like, oh my God. But, for me, it's really hard to, and I know that my autistic siblings can identify with this. I don't always control my facial features or my like reactions to things and my like expressions correctly, So sometimes I'm either like completely dead-eyed and flat-faced and people are like, oh my God, you hate it. And even though I'm like, no, it's awesome. Like I really, I just, you don't see it in my face. Or the other, which is worse, which is when like I would get something that like I wasn't expecting or like I wasn't, super into or whatever. And I just be like, just like make some face that I don't realize I'm, and now people are staring at me and I'm like, hey, this thing sucks. So, and you suck for getting it for me and you should feel that. But yeah, no, I don't like to be like watched when I'm doing anything, much less something where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to have the right reaction. I have to control my facial features. And now I have to be like, So it's a whole thing. But yeah, anyway, we did tend to go around the room and there was always like a story attached to something. My sister, if she listens to this episode, can confirm this. You'd pull something out of a box or a bag or whatever and just be like, huh. And then my dad would lean forward, and then like you're getting the backstory. And there was like something about it, or like you made some offhand comment 9 months ago about something and they were like, it was that kind of thing. So yeah, it stresses me out receiving presents, stresses me out giving presents, kind of for the same reasons in reverse. It's always like, is this what you want? Is this like useful to you in some way? Is it meaningful in some, Jay was the kind of person who whenever he went on a trip or anything, and he traveled a fair amount with his dad, he would buy like tchotchke, like just pointless garbage gifts for people at like the airport, wherever they were. And I was like, just don't do this. Like, I don't need a keychain from Aruba. Like, just don't do that. You don't have to do that. And so, like I said, I think if I were kind of used to that, where like every gift was sort of like meaningless, or like somebody had like a random re-gift, things like, it'd be one thing. But I feel like I got programmed by having, and this is not a bad thing, but like by having people around me who put the work in. You know what I mean? Like, where every gift was like, either it was something that I'd specifically asked for and it was like, cool, like I wanted this and now I have it, thank you. Or it was like something where, they had some kind of a backstory, some kind of a connection to it, where there was like some weight to it, I guess. And so I think I'm always like, it's got to be, it's got to be like capital M meaningful, and it's got to be like a, whatever.
So worked up about it.
I am always, constantly.
I feel bad that it stresses you out, but I don't feel bad that you get me such nice gifts. They're very cute, and like these stupid Crocs make me so happy when I look at them. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say about Christmas, or should we talk about New Year's?
I think one of the things that maybe bears acknowledgement around the holidays is we as neurodivergent people tend to benefit from, or like really stick to, routines, and the holidays are a huge disruption in routines for a lot of us. We talked on the Meltdown episode where like small changes in my expected routine freak me the fuck out, and it'll be something completely inconsequential, and something completely minor, as opposed to something like I have to take a week off of work and drive across 3 states and hang out with 12 people I don't particularly like very much. And there's going to be a lot of food and so much music and sound and all these people and conversations and lights and so it's exhausting but just really from that perspective of like it's often a disruption in routine. And I think that one of the reasons that the holidays were so like easy for me this year was that like nothing really changed. It wasn't even as small and as welcome a disruption in routine as your brother hung out. It was like, other than the fact that for some reason there's a tree in the living room, this is basically just like a Tuesday. So not having that disruption in routine is nice. Yeah, New Year's.
New
Year's.
I miss liking New Year's, but honestly, like I don't know, just fucking old now. Like I don't want to stay up that late and be out like downtown at midnight anymore for anything, let alone like a freezing fucking cold night.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we have champagne in the fridge. I'll probably have some. Like I said, I'll just run this bitch on Eastern Standard Time here at 10 o'clock. I have some champs. Call it a day.
Yeah, it's it's the New Year somewhere.
I like that people want to have their resolutions and like do better or whatever, but all that pressure like on one day is like way too much. Like I've been trying to get my shit together for like the last 3 months instead of like just waiting until the new year. So
which
is hopefully more maintainable.
Yeah, that's absolutely the thing. Like if you're motivated by an arbitrary date, you're not going to stick to it. Like you don't.
Well, I mean, if you are, great, but it just seems like so.
Like you've got to do a thing because you want the result, because you want to do the thing, whatever. We're such like kind of a time-bound, calendar-bound, whatever society that like we tend to think of like dates and days of the week and everything as being like inherently meaningful, and they're not. Like take 3 weeks off of work and see if it makes any difference that it's a Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like these, they're arbitrary things that we place so much significance on. And like you said, I think people really believe it a lot of the time. They're really like, it's a new year, and that tiny arbitrary thing is like enough impetus for me to start doing the thing. And you know what? If you pick a resolution and you stick to it and it leads to like a lasting change, or even if it doesn't, but if you decide to do something like pick up a hobby, and you have 6 weeks of fun or whatever, and then you forget about it, like that's worth it. I think that's fine. But I also feel like you shouldn't gatekeep it to like you said, if it's the week before Christmas and you're like, well, I got to change my life, but I can't do it till Tuesday, don't do that. Just do it. As a person with like really pretty potent ADHD, I have abandoned more new hobbies than most people will start in their lifetimes. And like, I never did because it was, it's January now, or whatever.
I think one of the things we talked about, I think it was a few weeks ago at this point, was like, I was like, I gotta go to as many mics as I can before the new year because it will get like a huge influx of resolution open micers in January. And so like the list get really long and it sucks. And then like for you, the gym might get overrun with people for a month. And then I think people trying things is great. Like I'm a huge fan of that. Everyone should be a lifelong learner of different things. But selfishly, I'm like, could you spread it out or maybe like not make it something that affects me? Like that is very inconvenient and annoying.
I don't think my current gym gets like overwhelmed with people, but I have belonged to gyms before where like the first 3 weeks of January or whatever were just like garbage. And it sucks because like you said, my viewpoint is absolutely 100% positive. Like, get it. You're trying to get strong. You're trying to get fit. Whatever your goal is, like, awesome. I'm glad to see you're doing it. But God, I wish you could do it in a way that didn't mean I have to wait 20 minutes between.
Right.
Like my workout is already like on a perfect day where I get all the equipment that I need right away and everything. On a perfect day, my workout is like an hour and a half. So,
wow.
And so that is a long time. That's a long time already. Now, if I have to wait 20 minutes for the squat rack because there's a bunch of people waiting for it, and then there's a bunch of people on the bench, and I got to like stand around for 10 minutes waiting for a bench to open up and whatever, like that. Again, I'm proud of y'all for doing what you're doing. I'm glad to see that people are out there, choosing to get after it and improve their lives, whatever it might be. But my God, is it frustrating.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping.
Yeah.
But anyways, good luck with everyone's resolutions, you guys.
I hope that people make changes that they're able to get whatever they want out of, ultimately, but yeah, if y'all could go to different open mics than Jen's going to go to, and if y'all could find gyms other than mine, that would be
great.
We would appreciate that. I don't do resolutions. I can't stick to changes that I try to make entirely for my own benefit. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be like, oh, I need to like make some change, whatever, and like genuinely mean it and want the result of the change and whatever else. And I can't even stick to that shit, much less being like, I flipped over a calendar page and now I have to eat better or whatever it might be. So yeah, not a resolutions person. But like New Year's Eve in particular, I know what you mean about like kind of wishing that you still liked it, because I feel like I'm kind of the same way. It doesn't have the same vibe as Christmas, but it is like, I like a celebration. I think that one of the things that makes life really hard is when we don't have those kinds of things. Not necessarily like a party, but like an occasion to mark, I think is nice. And to have some kind of like ritual around it is really important.
You say all that, but like, I don't feel like I get that impression from you about like much. Like you seem like you would be happy to ignore anything.
There are a lot of holidays where I have issues with like the reason for the holiday. Like, I'm not out here on the 4th of July being like, woohoo, America. Like, let's just fucking have a party and invent some symbols and shit around it. That's what we did in the first place,
I mean, that is basically what we do for Christmas.
Right, exactly. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, I'm not as young as I used to be, or because, like I said, very little changes in my day-to-day life. Like, I get up and I work and I go to the gym and I go to bed. I very rarely leave the house anymore, and like I don't have any activities or anything like that. So I think that the notion of having something that marks the passage of time in a way other than being like, it's another Thursday gone for nothing, is nice. Like, there's a part of me that really likes the idea of like parties, that really likes like the notion of a Christmas party. And that was nice when we went to the one, the other day. I don't think I can like do a lot of them, but as much as I am like deeply antisocial and deeply introverted, like I do sometimes like to be around people. And the notion of like being in a room with a bunch of people who you like, and people who it's not taxing to be around seems really nice. I feel like New Year's is like a very specific version of that, because it's not usually a family kind of thing. It feels like a sort of a friends oriented, like a chosen family.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of why maybe I liked it when I was younger, because I was like doing all the holidays with my family, doing all the shit like I was quote unquote like supposed to do. And then on New Year's Eve, like you can be with your friends, your parents aren't fucking around with that shit, and it's just like fun.
Right. Yeah, you get to have the holiday that like you would have wanted to have to start with,
Right.
I
It's
think
like blowing off steam after like a long stretch of bullshit.
Right. But I think that's probably part of why, as people start to get older, like New Year's Eve isn't as important as it used to be, because like the rest of the holidays are ours anyway. You know what I mean? Like we did whatever the fuck we wanted for Thanksgiving. We did whatever the fuck we wanted for Christmas. So now we don't have to have a party where like we have to go super hard on doing what we want, because we've just been doing it.
Do you know what I miss the most about New Year's Eve, if I'm being honest, is just like having an excuse to really dress up. And like, I don't like being uncomfortable most of the time, which I feel like a lot of like super nice clothes are like, I don't know, sometimes they're kind of stiff or they have sequins and they itch and whatever. But like one night a year, it was fun to like be like, I'm going to wear this ridiculous fucking dress and these stupid shoes. And my hair is going to be so big.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, fuck it, we're sweatpants all the time now.
I've had one really memorable New Year's Eve thing. I think I was a freshman in high school, and we went into Boston for what they call first night, which is the, New Year's Eve thing.
You say like I know. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Okay, well, first night is like the official name for the New Year's Eve celebration that's like citywide in Boston.
Okay.
So we went down to Boston for first night, and there's like a parade and there's like a whole bunch of shit and everything. And at some point, I have no idea how any of this happened. And looking back, I'm like, God, I would have been arrested. But At some point we ended up, like, my family and I were just like walking around in the streets, and we ended up like at wherever the parade started, like not the location where people are hanging out watching it, but actually like the staging area for the parade. And there was this, dummy's not the right word, but it was basically like a frame, like a backpack frame that you would strap on, and it had these rods basically that had like arms. So it was this like sort of anthropomorphic. It was a Grim Reaper anyway. And so it's this like, you'd put this thing on, you'd like strap this contraption to your chest and your
Like a
torso and everything.
puppet.
Basically, yeah, except
Okay.
it's gigantic, right? And so, and then it's got like the, articulated arms and stuff. And somehow I ended up in that thing.
Somehow you put it on.
Right. Like I don't have any recollection of any person being like, yeah, you can do that. I think I just saw it and I was like, I'm gonna do that. And I just like fucking stole this like Grim Reaper thing, and then spent the next hour walking in the first night parade in this giant Reaper puppet with articulated arms, just like waving the arms around and like running around and
You
like
got someone in so much trouble.
yeah, I know. And
Also that seems so out of character for you.
It really was, and to this day I'm shocked that like I did that. But
were
yeah,
you drunk or high or something?
No, like I said, I'm like 14.
That doesn't mean anything.
Well, for me it did.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't know how it started. I don't know how it ended. I mean, it was a hit. Everybody seemed to love it. Got to the end of the parade, and like people who were part of the parade thing or whatever, like helped me out of it. And everyone was like, oh, like, great job. What, like, it didn't, I don't have any sense that anyone was like mad, that anyone was like, you weren't supposed to do that, or like, you fucked up, or who are you? Where's Dave? It wasn't, there was no sense of anything
Dave
like
got
that. It was
fired, bitch.
It was so bizarre. So yeah, I mean, in retrospect, yeah, I hope that no one, got in trouble for that. This would have been, yeah, New Year's Eve, 95 or 96. I don't remember, honestly. And
So
so
if Graeme got you fired, he's sorry.
if you were supposed to be in the parade as the Grim Reaper and somebody stole your Reaper puppet, that was me, and I apologize. Yeah, I don't know, not a lot of like super memorable ones. I didn't dress up very often, partly because I was either doing New Year's Eve things when I was like a kid and I was with my parents and I didn't have anything nice, or now where I'm like, I'm going to be asleep at 9:30 anyway, so I'm not going to go out and rent a tux to sit on our couch.
Lame.
But yeah, I don't know. New Year's Eve is one of those things where like I don't have any like, other than the parade thing, I don't really have any like particularly good memories around it or like any particular strong association with it or anything. Like I remember most of the time as a kid just like sitting and playing video games, which is what I would have done anyway, except like it was okay for me to be up until midnight. So New Year's Eve is really the kind of the end of like the fun parts of winter.
Yeah.
And for me it's like kind of Christmas, like because I care so little about New Year's Eve at this point that I'm just like rare. But like, yeah, it sucks that we kind of front load like the cold, dark, miserable part of the year. We put all the holidays up front, and then it's just another 3 months of it being dark at 5 o'clock and, it's cold and there's snow and general misery and drudgery. But yeah, I feel like New Year's Eve kind of like marks the end of that. And it's like, okay, well, now it's January and business as usual, and we're all writing the wrong date on our checks.
No one's writing checks anymore, you old fogey.
But no, it kind of comes back to kind of what I'm talking about, right? About like how I think it's important to have holidays, and I think it's important to kind of like mark the passage of time in like a more intentional way.
Interesting. Does that mean we can have parties now?
I mean, but yeah, I think that those kinds of things are kind of nice, especially during a time when like just the weather is hostile and like it's dark 26 hours out of the day, just having a little bit of like light and whatever is nice.
It is nice, but not to be hosted at our house, apparently.
I mean, I can always go upstairs.
Oh my God. Do you hear yourself?
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense. And that's our life, you guys.
So the holidays.
It's the holidays. What's the next one?
Immel is the 2nd of February.
The fuck is that?
I'm trying to tell you.
I don't know what that means.
All right. Rein it in. Imbolc is the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. And, I don't know, candles and baking and
Are you going to make cookies?
I mean, probably, but I'm probably going to make cookies today, so it's not like a standout thing.
Okay.
I mean, there's like calendar holidays between now and then. President's Day is sometime in February, which like fuck all of them.
Valentine's Day, motherfucker.
Yeah. Speaking of obligatory,
Look how
consumer.
There's no video. You guys can't see. Like I could see his butthole snapshot. All right.
Look,
that was a joke from me. Sorry.
Look, if I don't make you feel loved every day, then one day in the middle of the winter is not gonna.
It'll help.
Simply.
Guess who doesn't get flowers, you guys?
I quit this podcast. I'm not gonna be roasted on my own podcast.
You've come to the wrong place, bitch.
80% of this podcast is being roasted, so that's.
I mean,
I knew what I signed up for.
You can roast back.
Yeah. So, winter holidays, kind of nice.
Kind of nice. That's the review.
Yeah, it's
they're all right.
B-.
Might do it again.
Not like I have any choice.
I mean, you don't have to participate, but you think you're getting roasted now?
I know that I don't have to participate, but here's the thing. Christmas comes this time each year.
God damn it. You guys, the joke is about, what is the song called, Lil Saint Nick?
I think so.
Okay, it's the stupid Beach Boys song, and I had never listened to it, like really listened to it, until Graeme drove me around in his car for like a couple hours the first couple of times we went and looked at lights, right? Yeah. And so the song plays like, I don't know, maybe the third time I realized it's about a fucking car. What a stupid song.
Well, because they just replaced the lyrics to Little Deuce Coupe.
What?
Oh,
is that real?
We're having a moment here. So, the Beach Boys have a song called Little Deuce Coupe, which is a celebration of the titular, two-door. I think that is also Candy Apple Red, like the sleigh. But no, so this is a real thing. They have a song called Little Deuce Coupe, and it's just a celebration of this like little sport car, whatever. Then all that they did was they lifted the lyrics out of it and replaced them with.
That makes
Christmas
the guy in Love Actually even funnier, because that's exactly what they do to the fucking Christmas song that he does. Damn it.
That's
all right. Amazing.
I
don't even know what to do with that. If you guys want to listen to a good Beach Boy song, may I recommend In My Room?
But anyway, yeah, so the second or third time that it plays, it kind of clicks for her. Meanwhile, I am just apoplectic with fury because I think it's the first lyric in the song, and then he sings it continuously under the fade out, but it is Christmas comes this time each year.
Yeah, Graeme was so mad, and I have to agree and co-sign it comes this time each year.
Well, I don't know why it gets as far under my skin as it does, but man, that is possibly the worst lyric ever.
I don't know.
And I mean, I say that as a person who has a non-zero working knowledge of the Insane Clown Posse, so.
Don't come for the family like that. All right, cool. Well, should we end it on a musical revelation?
Yeah, I suppose there's, my final gift to you is the full context of Beach Boys' Little Saint Nick.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It's a Christmas something.
Cool.
Yeah, so the holidays anyway. Yeah, I don't have any more particular points or anything.
Cool.
Thanks, as always, listeners, for the presence of your presence. I hope.
I hate you.
Whatever.
Go to jail. Happy holidays, you guys.
I hope that whatever your holidays are, even if they are none, that you have enjoyed them. Hopefully, things were as good as they possibly could be for you. And thanks for joining us as usual. And we'll make me look like an idiot some more in 2025.
Keep the suggestions for topics coming.
Yeah, because we're running out of ideas, y'all.
Graeme thinks we're never going to talk about anything.
It's true. That's true.
I'm not worried, but we'll see what happens. All right, team. Bye.
Goodbye, audience. You can find us on social media, on Instagram at idkwhatthatmeans.podcast, or if you happen to be on Blue Sky, idkwhatthatmeans.bsky.social. Or you can contact us by email at idkwhatthatmeans.podcast@gmail.com.
We hope you have fun or learn something. Probably not both, but hopefully both.
Probably not both.
Anyways, thanks for listening to I Don't Know What That Means.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.